typically encourage you to have a longer duration so that people get that opportunity to really try it. And it's not just about learning about it, they're really trying it. And then I always encourage for an after program support that's pretty thorough and gives people, continued access to the community, but also continued access to that support. Hi, authors. Welcome to the Book Desserts podcast series. I'm your host, Carrie Dobson. I'm so excited to have you here as we explore the sweet side of author-led groups. This podcast is for you if you're already an author or you have a book in the making. And when you think about the impact that you want to have, yes, you have your book and you want to go beyond your book and you want some of that work that you're going to do out in the world to include groups. I hope you're ready for this tasty exploration of author-led groups. Let's jump into this next episode. Hi, everyone. Welcome to this next episode in the Book Desserts podcast series. I'm your host, Carrie Dobson, and I'm so excited to have you here. In this episode, we're actually going to take a book that's currently in the market, probably one you've heard about, and talk about how, if I was working with the author, how I might kind of work with them to put together a group program. The book we're going to do in this episode is Atomic Habits, an easy and proven way to build good habits and break bad ones. It's written by James Clear, and it was put out by Avery Publishing back in 2018. I can't believe it's 2018. It seems like only not that long ago that this book came out into the market, and James was able to really have an impact on habits and how people see habits. So I love this book. It's a book I refer to often, especially when I'm coaching clients. It's a book that we talk about, not so much coaching clients in group coaching, but in the other type of coaching that I've done in the past. It's definitely a book that I refer to and use personally. So I want you to imagine your own book. And what if you could build a group program on your book that helped your participants to take your work out into the world? How might this enhance the impact you envision having on the world, whatever your area of expertise is? That's what I want to talk about when it comes to Atomic Habits, because I think it's such a great book for looking at how do we create certification programs where we're actually helping people to understand the frameworks and the tools and strategies in our book and get them to start using that out in the world of work that they do. So just a quick overview if you're not familiar with the book. What James talks about in this book is really the power of habits, and especially what he calls atomic habits, which are small habits, and how much those small habits or those atomic habits can really make a difference in your life. And how much of it is not so much about the goal itself, but it's about the systems you create around those goals to really help you to either create a good habit or break a bad one. In the book, he talks about the 4 laws, and then he gives lots of examples and stories of his own experience and that of his clients around how to use that law to build that good habit, that one that adds good things to your life, and then also how to use it to break bad habits. So when you're trying to stop doing something, he provides so many tools and strategies in each of these laws and really does give you a lot of different ideas for how you can apply it to your own life. And then once you're done with the 4 laws, he even includes another section with advanced tactics. So he really does have a wide breadth of different strategies, tools, and ideas in the book. And that's why I think it's such a great book to kind of look at from a group program standpoint, because for many of you, your books have a lot of tools and strategies in them, right? One of the reasons you've written the book is to help people take your perspective or your research or your experience and apply it to the work that they do. So the reason I think this is a great contender for a group program is really that the tools and strategies can be applied to almost any good habit or bad habit. So what I mean by that is it's really not specific to one area, one industry, one type of thing. The tools are extremely flexible and very applicable to everything. it's also a great contender because the ideas are really clear on how to actually use the tools, both through his storytelling, but also just in how he shares the tools in the book. And it's also a great contender because habits are a really hot topic and one that most of us need support and help with. So that was, kind of why when I was thinking about this episode, one of the books I wanted to cover was Atomic Habits, because I think for every coach that's out there, it's probably a book that they've read or they've heard about, and they want to kind of bring that to their clients as ways to help them. And by having the certification from the author to do so, A, you're doing it correctly, and B, the author is able to have an influence on how it gets used so that you can feel really confident putting it out there. So if I was working with James on this, one thing I will say is, as much as I would love for James to put together a program where he himself is working with people on their own personal habits, I don't think that's likely with all that he has going on in terms of his own writing, his podcast, newsletter, all that kind of stuff. So when I was thinking about this, I'm thinking, okay, we would want to do a certification program because it's in depth enough for a certification program, but also because of the business he's probably trying to build, he's not looking to put thousands of people through a program every year, probably, right? I haven't talked to him, so I don't know, but that would be my understanding based on all the other things he does. So he would potentially, though, be interested or could be interested in saying, how do I help people who are helping people to build good habits and break bad habits? How do I help them to take the research that he has done, the frameworks he's put together, the tools and strategies? How could he help them to do a better job in supporting their clients? And that's where a certification program comes in. So when I would think about what would the program promise be for a certification program on Atomic Habits, I would want it to be around helping the participants. So the people who are signed up to say, okay, I'm going to be an Atomic Habits certified coach, let's say, helping them to determine a habit building component that's either separate or within the offers and client supports that they already provide. So it wouldn't be about picking a new area. It would be about sticking in the area that they're in, but saying, how do we incorporate habits into that? And it would also, the program promise would be that you would work with clients or groups of clients to build out this component and ensure it works. So that would be the program promise that I'd be looking at. I'd want to make sure that whoever signed up for this, it's not just like a slightly deeper dive into the history and the research that went into this. It really is about how do you take these tools and apply it into the work that you do with your clients or your groups of clients or within your organization. So some examples of experiences I'd want us to consider doing for a certification program like this is to experience it ourselves. So as participants, picking a habit and picking a strategy or two that we would actually put into practice in our own lives so that we're getting the experience of what our clients are experiencing. I always like in certification programs that you as a person, as a participant in it, get some level of experience of what it is you're helping people to do once you're certified with it. I think that's a really important place to start because it allows you to buy into the value of what you're bringing to the table, but it also allows you to be a lot more empathetic and understanding of what your clients are going through and kind of what they're experiencing. So I think that's a really important part of this. And then I would want it to also include what I call seat of support sessions or SOS sessions. Some people in the coaching world will call that hot seat sessions. I don't like that terminology because for me, hot seat brings up like anxiety and like, you're on display and you're kind of talking about the things that aren't working and it feels very intense. So I call them SOS sessions because it really is, you're in the seat of support. And so I would want to make sure that every participant had at least one of those where they're coming to the table and they're sharing, this is how I'm thinking about incorporating it. These are the obstacles I'm running into. to. These are my frustrations when I'm working with clients. This is what I'm worried is going to happen. And so that the whole group gets to be part of that conversation. And then James, in this case, the author, would also be able to kind of give some personal experience around some of the stories that maybe didn't make it into the book that would apply to whatever this participant is talking about. The other experience, again, would be around building out that component. I would want to make sure that through the certification process, they're building out the components, they're testing it out with clients, they're coming back to the group and talking about what's working well, what's not, what are they having struggles with. So I would want to make sure that all of those experiences are part of it, which, if you think about it, as I'm talking and sharing that, this would likely be a pretty thorough and long program because we would want people to actually be able to practice it on themselves and then go ahead and start building it and practicing it for their clients. So typically a certification program, I see a lot of them where it happens in a short amount of time, which can be challenging because you're getting all the information, but are you getting the opportunity to actually practice what you're being certified on? So I always am a big component of after program support. And so in certification programs, I typically encourage you to have a longer duration so that people get that opportunity to really try it. And it's not just about learning about it, they're really trying it. And then I always encourage for an after program support that's pretty thorough and gives people, continued access to the community, but also continued access to that support. So that's kind of what I would think about when it comes to atomic habits. And what I want you to think about is when it comes to your own book or the idea you have for a book, is this a book that has a lot of strategies, a lot of tools, and is something that you could imagine people needing to be certified on or wanting to be certified on, and then taking your work and kind of representing it in the work that they do? So the question I want you to think about is, how might you be able to take your book and build a certification program for it? I'd love to hear your ideas around that. And if you want to kind of share those with me, I'd encourage you to come connect with me on LinkedIn. That's where I hang out the most. So it's Kerry, Kerry, Dobson, D as in dog, O, B as in Bob, S as in Sam, O, N as in Norman. Connect with me on LinkedIn and tell me that you listened to the episode and let me know some of the ideas you have around your own book and making it into a certification program. That's it. That's all that I have for you today. I really encourage you, if you haven't read the Atomic Habit book, to definitely check it out. It's a really powerful book, and I think it's a great example of a book that's written that would be a great certification program if the author is up for it. So thank you so much for listening. I'd love it if you'd leave a review or a 5-star rating for the show. As you know, this is just a podcast series. We're going to go through a few other books, and then I hope you continue to listen to the episodes in the series where we're talking to different authors who have their own group programs, as well as some of my friends and colleagues who do things that support group programs. Thanks for listening. Well, authors, that concludes this episode of the Book Desserts podcast series. If you're ready to start exploring how to go beyond your book with group programs, I encourage you to visit our website at jjdak.com. That's jjdak.com. On there, you can download our Design Your Groups with Ease workbook, which has some great checklists and questions you can ask yourself when you're thinking about designing your own group. If you're more interested in having a conversation with me, your host, Kerry Dobson, you can go ahead and book a complimentary group program clarity session right there on the website. I'd love to have a conversation with you about your book and about your group that you'd like to put out into the world. Until next time, may your dreams be filled with your own book desserts.